It's unfortunate for the Memphis Grizzlies because they actually played hard physical basketball. 19 offensive rebounds, only shot 39% from the floor. But the professionalism of the San Antonio Spurs, led by their big three, their role players, we knew weren't going to show up on the road, but their big three, led by Tony Parker scoring, Tim Duncan's double-double, and all-around player Manu Ginobili, that was the difference.
Well, Jalen, that's what superstars do. They win on the road. You can't rely on the role players to win a big game on the road. So give the Spurs a lot of credit. But the Memphis Grizzlies lost this game in the second quarter. The Spurs, they were down 16 after the first quarter. They were double teaming Tony Parker. They went away
Why
from
did
that.
They back off that?
They went away from that, Michael, and then Tony started hitting shots in the second quarter. They only led by 4, that being Memphis at the halftime. That's where they lost this game in the second quarter.
And then they tried to go back later and hit Tony with the double. He starts throwing that pass in the lane to Tim Duncan.
That's right.
And then Ginobili got into the act. The Spurs had 5 assists in the first half, 15 in the second half. They just carved Memphis up. 69 points for the big three. Duncan, Ginobili, Parker on 27 for 50 shooting. These guys got in the way-back machine, particularly Ginobili. I told you guys pregame. It's about Ginobili. Yeah. He had been looking old and unable. He was able in game 3.
He certainly was. And I thought the overtime was a defining Spurs sequence for them. They scored 18 points. And it wasn't a situation where they're getting fouled at the end and bumped up the stats. Like, these were 18 really smart, effective Spurs-like points. Also, we have to mention, Popovich benched his starting 5 7 minutes into the game. He took everybody out. He was like, all right, if you guys don't want to play tonight, I'll just play the bench. And it actually worked. It got them fired up.
Different angles for the pick and roll. I think that was the key. Not only with Manu, but Tony Parker. You see him at the top. You see him on the wing. See multiple players doing it. And it kept Zach Randolph from being a dominant offensive force. Marc Gasol never really had a dominant game in these first 3. That's the key to the Memphis team. When they don't get that ground and pound down low, it's trouble for that team.
Tony Parker, first half. Ginobili, second half. Tim Duncan wins the game for him in overtime with Splitter. The Spurs are saying, we know the window is closing on us. We want a championship. And they played like a championship team tonight.
Wonder if they had Rudy Gay, Bill, what they might have been able to do. Might be able to stretch the floor a little bit. I'm just asking.
It wasn't a good day for the Tayshaun Prince part of that trade. I can tell you that much.
Earlier in these playoffs, the New York Knicks had a 3-0 lead on the Boston Celtics. Celtic pride kicked in. They win a couple. They force Game 6, ultimately go down to the Knicks. But can the Grizzlies dig deep like the Boston Celtics did and extend the series?
I want to say yes for Lionel Hounds because this team has fought hard all year long, but I don't think they have enough offense, enough shot makers. The defense is going to be there. They're going to grind it out. What we saw tonight, you just don't have enough shot makers coming off the bench. It's done.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. I mean, how many more shots they took? 14,
15 more shots.
15 more shots for San Antonio.
Wow.
And that's uncharacteristic of a Memphis team who slows the game down, want to play in the 80s. They're normally the team that struggle to get an abundance of shots. But anytime Memphis takes 15 more shots than their opponent and they still lose the basketball game, but San Antonio shoots 50%, Memphis 39. San Antonio is just a better executing basketball team. And they just got better players and more depth, and they all know their role. And that offense dictates that with the ball moving, somebody always gets a good shot, whereas Memphis, they got 15 more shots, but they won 15 better shots than what San Antonio took.
One more nugget for you guys to chew on before we get out of here and close down shop for this post-game show. The Spurs had 8 first-quarter turnovers, 9 in quarters 2, 3, and 4, none in overtime. And they win Game 3, 104-93, and they are 1 win away from their first trip to the finals since 2007.